Commissioners, we are live.
Welcome everyone back to our 3 o'clock workshop with our Fair Board. We're gonna talk about budget, so what we're doing, vision, get the fair put on, a little of all of it.
So clerk, have you gotten a proposed budget for fiscal year 2026?
No. Nothing has been received by the clerk's office at this time.
Linda, who's it, your treasurer
Cash.
is coming from where?
Riggins. Riggins. Yeah, I think also she's in Caldwell area, but she has her place at Riggins, so that's where she was gonna drive down from.
You know, we gotta change out our whole protocol with this whole budget thing. You know, if we have to hire a bookkeeper and put them on salary, or however we do that, we need to look at getting that done, cause that, by statute, we have to have our budget in February. So however, whatever it takes, here on out, we have to have that set in place. That's just part of the statute. That's what we have to do.
And that's by February.
Yep.
Okay.
So that's just part of the requirements. So just make sure you write that down, and we're gonna have to start abiding by that from here on out.
Okay.
Because we can't approve a budget if we don't have it.
Have it. Totally understandable.
That's the reason for it.
Right.
Toby today.
Congrats on your son's ride at the Stampede.
Thank you.
Oh, what did he do?
It's awesome.
Thank you. He was 82 points at the Stampede, and then it was actually 87 points, took second in Pleasant Grove, Utah.
Oh, wow.
The following night, so they had a good weekend.
And you have a fun.
Right,
The only one that beat him, Stetson,
that's right, yeah.
which I mean, I guess if you're gonna get beat by someone.
In Utah, no
Yeah.
less, so yeah,
Yeah.
it's almost Stetson's hometown, so. Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Okay, I guess we can get back on track now. Sorry. I just wanted to say
Thank you.
Do you guys have anything you want to present to us as far as the budget? Right now,
My understanding is you're gonna
Come in,
teach us
yeah.
what we need to know, what you're requiring from us. That's why I gathered everybody and said that's what we were doing, is that you're gonna show us what you want us to do.
that would come from the clerk.
Okay. He's the one that caught me.
So per code, here is what. What the code says is that the Fair Board shall meet the first Monday of February of each year or at such other time as may be provided by law for the preparation of budgets, and shall make a budget of the amounts required for fair purposes, including all salaries to be paid for the current year, and shall deduct therefore the profitable income from such fair or fairs to be conducted by the board during the current year, and any balances remaining in its treasury, and shall then certify to the Board of County Commissioners the amount of said budget, and the amount to be raised by the county for fair purposes shall in no case be in the excess of the difference between the total of said budget and the probable income of such fair and the modifications in the county fair budget as it is deemed proper, and include the same in its annual county budget. I can continue to read, but where I think that we also need to get some clarification, probably from legal, is does that include the rodeo? right? Because what we have at the Valley County Fairgrounds is fair and rodeo. The language of fair, does that include rodeo as well?
Way I interpret that is yes, it does. You use the fairgrounds, the rodeo, it's kind of connected to the fair. So I would consider that. That's how a lot of county fairs do.
So what was previously presented to the county was that the Valley County Fair Board has $130,000 in their bank account. Has there been a determination of what this year's costs are going to be for fiscal year 2025?
But we have our approved motion sheet. It has all the motions. I don't know if there's anything in there, but
So that's one thing that needs to be identified.
Right.
Is what is this year's, I mean, we're kind of working backwards, but I think we need to do that just to make sure that we're fully aware of what the budget is needing to be for fiscal year 2026 is, we did levy, or what we have levied for the Valley County Fair for this year is 70,000. Now, if the county makes that contribution to the Valley County Fair Board, is there going to be a need to levy for fiscal year 2026? Based on what is in the bank now, based on what the expenses are, and then based on projected expenses revenue for fiscal year 2026.
what can those funds be allocated for is what I'm curious about.
Yeah, in all fairness, we're headed the same direction there. So, just prior to the meeting started, there was an attempt at some additional bleachers, by way of, a grant that apparently we didn't get. So are we allowed to apply some of that money in the bank to bleachers moving forward? Because we would budget for that if that's the case, I believe. Obviously, bearing the vote, but we have things we need. We just don't. I think part of the problem is the fair, quote, rodeo board, whatever, is confused about what roles we play in purchasing versus what roles the county plays in purchasing, and we've kind of been misled in the past by others. I'll just leave it at that, you know, because it's county property, the county would be spending money on improvements or whatever, and now it sounds like maybe that's not the case. So I think we need clarification on what our role is and what we are allowed to spend on and not spend on.
So you're looking to the clerk, and I guess I'm going to lean on legal a little bit about what the levy dollars can be spent on. It's my understanding that everything that purchased technically belongs to Valley County.
Right.
No matter what, it belongs to Valley County.
Okay.
The general maintenance of the facilities, it falls on Valley County to tax separately for that, for the general maintenance, right? General
Okay.
maintenance of the buildings, things of that nature. What we're levying for here can be, I guess I'll respectfully request that you kind of interject here.
So let's start with this statute first. What is expected here, what the law requires the fair board to do, is take your carryover revenues from the previous year's fair and apply that to your forecasted costs to put on the fair for the upcoming year. So just to take nice even round numbers, let's say you collected $50,000 in revenues and it's historically cost $100,000 to put a fair on. You've basically paid for half of the upcoming fair with your revenues that you collected last year, and you're supposed to apply that. That's why the statute says you're supposed to come in early in the year and say this is what the gate receipts were for the fair for the previous year, and we're going to need another $50,000 to have another fair this year. That's ultimately the decision. The source of the funds from the county comes from that levy that Doug's talking about. Any residual dollars from the levy can be invested in infrastructure upgrades and things like that.
A water truck or water.
Yes, yes, yes. But the property itself, property means the dirt and the grandstands, the bleachers, the fencing, all that stuff, that's owned by Valley County. So those levy dollars can be used to either purchase upgrades or maintain what we've got. But the first expenditure out of that money is supposed to provide you with the cash that you need to actually put on the event itself. Does that make sense?
Yes, so something was sent to everybody on, the budget was sent, the board had put on, and I helped them just write it off to send it out on, it was March 9th that Cat got it, but, it was updated, because it was updated for motions and budget.
So,
Is that-
so just remember the dates that are outlined in the statute. We're obviously quite a bit behind to where we should be. The reason I think, I mean, it doesn't say it in the statute, but the reason that I think that you were so early in the year, like when was it again, Doug? The first Monday in February? That gives the Fair Board plenty of time to count their gate receipts from the prior summer's fair. And then you come and present to the board what your expected additional request is going to be for your budget. And that gives the county commissioners enough time to determine how to adjust the levy rate. If we wait clear until this far into the year, it makes it really difficult for the board to make that determination. So sounds like there's a little bit of cash in the bank account. Ultimately, that's supposed to be really, you're supposed to be spending that down every year. You're supposed to spend that money first on the functions of the fair, and then the board will provide whatever additional funds are necessary to make sure you can put on the event that you're planning. And then whatever's left over, you can make the upgrades. I don't know what you have planned as
And
far as
I-
infrastructure upgrades.
I
but-
apologize. Commissioner Mopin did have a budget that was received from the Fair Board on February 26th.
So good. Sounds like it
There
was
were-
submitted.
Maybe you could bring that up.
Yep, I'm gonna
We've gone
pull
through
it up.
several things.
Neil, I think it's in your post. February 25th.
Who sent it?
Yeah,
Commissioner
so
Roberts?
that's the document you should be working off from.
So bear with me. I'm glad.
Is there any questions of me? I'll sit down if not.
Well, if we wanna buy a new tractor, is that counties or is that ours?
I guess
it is one of our-
I guess it depends. You want a tractor that's just to be used at the fairgrounds and
Well, if we trade in the tractor that was paid for by Fair Board monies
Yeah.
originally, start getting into the
right,
ammo
and you
board.
can get donations and things like that. And so, I think
Cause before we were told by Commissioner Mopin that that was county's property.
I think that's
And
correct.
So when we looked at a new tractor and trading it in, we were confused, is the
Yeah.
county paying the $35,000 difference? for
Yeah, so
what
you
we
don't wanna
want, or-
I understand. You don't want to spend your gate receipts for a tractor or any infrastructure upgrades that you're not going to own.
If
So
we
I-
need to,
Yeah.
we just didn't know.
Ultimately, to me, it's interesting. I don't know how. I mean, I know there's a lot of fairs in the state that charge a gate fee, but our fair doesn't charge a gate fee. So
You generate revenues from what source?
the literal only
Is your rodeo?
revenue is from the gate at the rodeo.
Yeah. Okay.
So everything else is 100% a cost to the county
Gotcha.
or to the taxpayers.
So the determination as to whether or not the fair and the rodeo are the same or separate is important to this.
I think it is, and I'm not saying it is or it isn't, and it doesn't matter to me either way. But I can tell you this: if the rodeo doesn't happen, you generate zero money. Period.
Right.
Exactly
I can
right.
tell you that.
I think that's why it's
And,
been.
and I think a lot of them are combined. I'm not saying it shouldn't
Yeah.
be or whatever.
Yeah.
I'm just clarifying. You keep referencing
I get it.
gate and there's no money generated.
I think, I mean, I obviously haven't done any research, so I'm just giving you my best advice based on what I know, but if the property, the dirt, and the infrastructure is the county's, is county owned, and it's the county's responsibility to maintain that property, tractor would fit into that same class of property. So it would come from levy dollars, not your rodeo gate receipts, to purchase a tractor.
That's been the gray area that we've struggled with
And
all
the county would
along.
own it, we would operate it, we would maintain it, and obviously you all would have access to it to put on a fair and the rodeo and all that sort of stuff. But
The other question it leads to for me, and I'm just asking this because I kind of head up the rodeo in the committee, but my goal has been to grow the rodeo, which has very much happened the last few years. But really effectively to continue to grow the rodeo, it takes more money by way of payout and, stock charges. And so in the end, it just washes itself out anyway. So am I supposed to continue to grow it? Do we want to maintain a little local rodeo and not grow it? I mean, I would love to have a direction from whoever makes that decision, because really to continue to grow it, it has to wash itself out anyway, because all that extra seating we have to put right back into the rodeo.
right,
So,
which is you go back to that statute that was up on the board. That's exactly what's contemplated there too, is that you are investing your revenues right back into the fair and the rodeo for the next year. And then let's say you just don't have the turnout you need, or your costs went way up over where you forecast. So that's what the purpose of this meeting is for, is to say it's going to cost us an additional $50,000 than what we made last year to put on the fair and rodeo. Valley County, are you willing to invest that amount of money? Or are we going to scale it back? We're going to upgrade, are we going to upsize it? We're going to downscale it? What are we going to do? That's the purpose of this meeting here, is how's the county going to subsidize the fair and the rodeo going forward?
So in other words, if we have a deficit this year, it'll be dealt with in the
Yes.
next budget.
Yes,
Okay.
yes,
Answers
absolutely.
a lot of questions.
You're kind of supposed to have a deficit, actually. I mean, maybe you're making a ton of money and you can cash flow the next year's fair, but according to the way this law is written,
Totally understand.
you will more than likely have a deficit, which is the purpose of the levy.
So we're
Monies that go back.
sitting on the 60,000. That's what it cost to run the whole rodeo last
This
year.
year, and then they were saying that they needed this equipment of lights for arena. I don't know if that was done. Water irrigation truck, grandstands, open class door, restrooms, and then an arena groom.
That was the only line item that's been completed.
Is the arena groom?
Yeah.
So we've already taken care of all the rest of them, haven't we?
Nothing else there has been completed except for the arena group.
Restrooms haven't been completed.
Well, I don't really know what that line item is, to be honest with you. Specifically, I mean, the restrooms are definitely completed and ready to go. As far as the new building, the announcer. Was that what it was?
I think it was carryover. Because,
Well, we still need more than 3 restrooms for each sex.
like, if we're gonna pull out,
For the
that's
whole
what it was, if we were gonna
fairgrounds.
pull
We
out that
have-
building, we need to start looking at what
Right.
would replace it.
But I would think, unless I'm speaking out of line here, based on working on a master plan, those restrooms aren't going anywhere until that's all completed. So I think that's a conversation for down the road.
Sure.
The goal is
I think that was
not
an
to really put in or take away, taking away, but not to put in any more infrastructure until we have a plan. Because, like you mentioned, what if ultimately you want the arena to go the other way?
Right. Yeah, totally get it.
And anything that's put back in, so you say you get a tractor, and the county maintains it, it's in the county's interest too, because they can put on a different rodeo, or there's other reasons to put on money, but it gets taken care of by the county, right?
You do
So
not.
that,
In this situation, you most likely do not want it to be county because no one else can run it except for a county. Unless we somehow figure out with legal how to allow fair board members.
We were told before, we just had to take the pieces.
Yes, yeah, it'll be like a signed deal where, kind of like what we did with the groomers. And you probably need to look into that for some 4-H leaders as well prior to the fair.
there, right now we have to bring equipment in on the outside, right? We can't use any county appointed equipment.
Unless we can figure something out with legal.
Okay.
So I would,
Okay. Yeah, we're gonna
and
need
if
to
you'd
know
like
too.
a dad to run a county skid steer, talk to,
What's the difference between that and bringing their own? Fairgrounds are.
I would
kinda
much
great.
rather, you're asking a question you're not gonna like the
We better get it right.
It's a distinction. with
Liability, because they smashed the building with their own, they're still liable. Who's gonna pay for it? You still gotta have all the insurances.
It's an insurance question and insurance.
Okay.
Tractor brought it from outside or was a tractor.
Have you guys looked into what a tractor would cost?
This is where we're going.
Yeah, we got a quote for, another tractor, but it does lead to its own problems. They're slowly sorting themselves out, but, it was, the long and the short is, it was basically, if we trade in the existing tractor, it was additional 35,000 for the new tractor. The problem is that the new tractor is a cab tractor, so it won't fit in the building that the tractor's currently in, so it would have to fit in one of the other in another building or another area.
But once the road department's moved out,
Then it wouldn't be an issue.
it wouldn't be an issue. Okay. All right.
so scroll up. Just curious, so your total expenses were 72,000, your net income was 51,000. Where does the balance remaining come from when your expenses are higher than your income?
For your bank account, wouldn't it?
Yeah, previous year, cause we have to have carryover money, because the beginning, if we don't get your money in time, so the beginning of everything we do.
But you see where I'm confused, it's all 2024, right? So there's no balance remaining from 2023 to.
Oh.
So what happened was you took the expenses minus the income and then that says the balance remaining. Well, that's backwards.
Now,
And
to
we
say
have-
when we did this part of it, we couldn't even get into our previous treasurer's computer. We had to bring it to the county and get things figured out, so, she probably didn't have a lot of those numbers when she was pretty new to this. Kat was pretty new to this when we threw her under the bus to come up with this. And she probably didn't have those numbers from the previous treasurer.
So your probable income for 2025 for this year, we're looking for making 52,000 off this year's fair rodeo. Is that correct? Is that what that's saying?
And then I think the other question was that we were levying 70,000, but according to this, if you make 52 and you only expend 72, that's 20,000. Where's that other 50,000 going?
And that's the question, can it go back towards
I think that's what the expenses,
the expenses,
the
yeah.
list below
Right here,
is
yep.
to cover. That's, I think, what that's for.
Exactly. I don't know, but I would assume that
It is.
was.
That was the whole idea. I
Yep.
know that. I see what you're saying, Kat, that's backwards. That should have been a loss of 20,000, not a gain of 20,000. So I'm not sure about that part, but I do know that expenses, the area below was created to utilize that leftover money. And without seeing some of our stuff real quick, I can't tell you off the top of my head, but the rodeo does not make $56,000. So that's definitely not accurate. There's no way that we do 56,000 in ticket sales.
Really? So why do we got that up there?
I don't know. That's what I'm wondering myself.
That was in.
Was that-
Yeah, that's a pretty high projection of income.
Or 51,000, sorry. Yeah, even that, there's
This was the
So
budget.
That
almost no
51 isn't
possibility.
correct?
There's almost no way.
That's
We don't
gate,
have that much
that's,
seating.
that's ticket
There's only so much
seatings, that's,
seating. Kids are
it was
free.
cons-
If that
Five,
includes
right?
that
sponsorship.
concessions,
10 and 15.
our,
10
our
cents.
sponsors
And
and
this is really this is why we're here.
Right.
Right.
Because we really need to, if that does require hiring some sort of a bookkeeping firm or whatever to keep these. I appreciate a
I take
volunteer
that back.
treasurer.
I take that back.
Well,
Actually,
she is
just
on
just
the
doing
list.
quick
She's got-
numbers, that's plausible with our liquor sales and everything.
that's why I was, the
I think
concessions.
that probably is accurate. I mean, again, I'm just doing quick numbers here, but
Yep.
without looking at everything in front of me, but that probably is accurate.
So your guesstimate for next year is 52,000.
Which hasn't been that great, but it'll be better this year.
Yep.
We're working on that.
Can we get another set of bleachers before rodeo time or not?
We were just discussing that. I don't think we're gonna be able to pull it off, or not efficiently. So this winter I rented a set out of Emmett. I don't know if they would even be willing to rent them to us. They were pretty reasonable, but the only other set I could find, I rented them twice in the Boise Valley, putting on my own events. And the only ones that I could find that were quote available to rent were out of Twin Falls. So
Oh my goodness.
they're fairly expensive. You gotta go get them and take them back, and it's a lot.
Yep.
A lot involved. I don't know that it would be worth. I mean, if somebody has nothing better to do from the county, then send them to Twin Falls, but I don't have time to deal with it. How about that?
Okay,
So, Clerk, do you think you can take this?
I think so. I think what we'll do though, for next year, if we could have a budget workshop like this in February, I
Absolutely.
think it's gonna benefit us all, right?
I agree.
And I guess if I can go on the record, and I want to commend the Fair Board for what they've done, the commissioners for what they've done to enhance that area, I think we're on the right track, right? To overall improve that site, improve the fair, improve the rodeo. So I would like to personally commend this board for their effort in growing the program and benefiting the community. Not to stand on my high horse, but I honestly would like to thank you. I think we're all learning what the requirements are, and I do think that we have, what I would like to identify now are these expenditures for 2025. The Fair Board is can move forward with these expenses. Okay? What we're going to have to, and then come back in February of 2026 to really dial in the budget for 2027, right?
mhm.
I know that sounds crazy, but that's what we'll need to do.
Always looking ahead. Always
So
looking.
these expenses that have been submitted to us, I'm assuming that these still are anticipated as expenses for the upcoming fair and rodeo. Do we know if there's anything that,
There has been a lot purchased.
okay?
We purchased a new stage because the last one was falling in.
Okay.
It was $6,500, $8,500. We purchased a new safe because ours was stealable and way too small.
Yeah, some
We
of those
purchased
are-
locks for the doors to fix some of that stuff. So
Yeah,
some of
they're
that
actually
stuff
on
is
the items
purchased.
above.
But we don't need the mic and the speaker. So I mean, is there some flexibility in that kind of area, right? Like
I think the spider box was purchased. I think Carl did that.
if you're off the.
So some of that
We
stuff,
had
the
three of
buckles
them,
have
we
been
needed three of
purchased.
them, cause there's not enough power down there for the vendors that we want to bring on to the fairgrounds.
I guess where I'm getting at, is there a possibility, Toby, to purchase grandstands now, or that's just not an option?
I mean, I can dive into it. I would be shocked if we had time to get them here
By
and
August.
get them assembled by
Okay.
August.
Understood.
But I mean, we can definitely look at it. I can start making phone calls.
Yeah, this is, when's our fair? The first Saturday?
Yeah, I mean, we're effectively
We're there.
5 weeks out,
So
so
Well,
are
our-
there a
probably
need,
not gonna happen.
I guess what I'm asking too is like for the lights for the arena, is that something that can be done before?
Yeah, that's actually on me. I just haven't done it yet, but we'll get them in time, and that'll be in place. So
The water truck,
we're kind of
just making do, or,
we're gonna make it work without that expenditure this year.
and then the groomer,
That's done.
that's done, okay.
The groomer, I remember someone saying that it's too big for the current tractor to
I mean,
pull,
Pretty much.
which is fine. I just want to ensure that there's gonna be a tractor to pull that groomer for
It-
door shows and
it'll do it. It really struggles the first time of the year, just because the arena is so compact. But I actually got it done, so it will do it. So for just reoccurring grooming throughout the course of the rodeo, it'll handle it. It's a
Okay.
lot, but it'll handle it. So it'll be available, and then I'm planning on bringing up my own, which is a bigger groomer anyway, to help this year until we figure out what we're gonna do tractor wise. But yes, it will do the job for the fair. Absolutely.
And we'll see where we're at next year. See if we can buy a tractor.
Yeah. I mean,
Cool.
theoretically, there may be more parking space available next year anyway. So it sounds like.
Yeah, it'll be. I know they're working on the building, but still, it's gonna be. We're gonna have to deal with them next summer, I guarantee.
Summer also?
I don't think they're gonna be moved out to the late part of the summer.
Late part of next summer.
Be able to get that area.
the road part.
I'd be surprised if they get out that quick.
Jeff was far more ambitious than that when I spoke to him recently, but who
He's
knows?
more ambitious,
Who knows
but
if it
you still
works
got a
out.
builder who's doing the building, so.
Right. I understand.
And they're building all through the winter, so we'll see. It might surprise me.
I understand.
All right, anything else?
We're gonna have some electrical work needing to get that just. Found in. I know, but not, because it's not in the other buildings, so in your commercial building and in the bridge building. So it doesn't spark, I don't know what it is. Oh, the outlets.
Where?
There we, Sean Arnold let me know that when they plugged in their outlets over by the commercial, that they were, it's either, I would have to show you, or we could go down there and I could get better clear, but it's just.
Terry's a licensed electrician, she can fix that stuff.
I was. Okay. Well, thank you all for all that you do. Kirk Feller was correct. What you've done is fantastic.
And we do wanna make it into a world-class deal. Might not compete with Snake River yet, but
Got a little ways to go.
a little ways to go.
We need more parking.
And a lot better air conditioning.
Yeah, they do have, that is nice. That's Stampede.
Now in June, it's like.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So the group that is planning our new fairgrounds,
They are planning the new fairgrounds in conjunction with the planning team. Linda's on it as a member of the fair board. I am the lead commissioner on it. There's several other people on it.
well, Neil is our go-to, so we would kind of like him on it because when he comes to his meetings,
Unfortunately, 2 commissioners cannot be at the same meeting at the same time due to open meeting laws. So that's not
And
possible.
it's,
So Linda will be the one that will be relaying all of the information back to you.
okay. With that, do we have any idea when this is coming or anything? Cause when we want to
So Linda's been
expand or do things, what do
Yes.
we wanna
So
put in
Linda's
our
been
radar?
involved in the last 2 meetings. She's as up to date as anyone else. This is just a plan. And so we are hoping to have this plan done by the end of the year. Right now, we are just in the communication, portion of it, so we will be sending out surveys to the public for people to fill out. We will, Clearwater will be doing one-on-one interviews with stakeholders. Allison and Melissa are also on the team doing this. Scott and Terry are as well. So we're all putting our input in on who we think should be on these one-on-one interviews. If you're interested, please let one of us know. And then the survey will be going out. And so right now we're just in the gathering information, but Linda's been involved in, like I said, the last
Yeah,
two
she's
meetings.
told. I guess my question boils down to when you want a 5-year plan and a 10-year plan, how far are you expecting us to go before we hopefully have a new fairgrounds and
Hopefully this is going to create the master plan for a new fairgrounds.
we
Or
might
possibly
see that in 10 years, 5 years?
The plan should be done by the end of the year, and at that point, it's moving forward with the capital contribution campaign, it's moving forward with
Investors.
investing.
So probably at least 2-3 years.
We also have to get
planning.
the road department out of.
Yeah. Well, when you want our 5 and 10 year and we're sitting here going, well, we can put it in a lot of places, but we don't know if we have a new grounds to put it or if we're still repairing, so it was just a
And
general.
that's part of what this whole
Yeah.
committee is about, is showing a vision.
Mhm.
This is what it could look like, and it's taking all your guys, cause you guys are dealing with that fair. I mean, that's big from you guys and all the rest of the stakeholders that are gonna be involved looking at it.
I
And
wanna let you,
developing a plan.
Right.
And once you develop a plan, then we can kind of implement it.
Yeah.
Of course, we have to have funds, but still, that's, at least it implements it and gives you an idea, okay, this goes here, that goes there, this goes here. What works? And, even the city will be involved, so.
I took everything anyone had ever tried to put in through their years over, just so you know, it's like Brian had some ideas. I'm putting that in and there's gonna be a lot of space for public input. And they say a survey, but if you're as invested as you guys are in the fairgrounds, there's gonna be a chance to kind of interview more or less to kind of say, hey, this is my vision. It's not just gonna be,
I was just looking,
Okay.
I was thinking of our 5-year
so you know.
budget, 10-year budget thing.
gotcha.
Question on.
Yeah, we eventually like to have like, Toby was saying, have a gate fee.
Fence
Well, we had
first.
talked about fencing the whole fairgrounds.
Mhm.
That way you could have something like that, but that's something if you put
Different
that in our
emergency
5-year
exit.
budget or 10-year budget, or does it come with the new fairgrounds? And so we're, just those questions are throw around.
Good conversations to have. Okay. Thank you. Thank all of you guys for all you do.
Here's it.
So we need to do your maps on
Well,
that.
you just said right now,